Bada bing, bada boom. What is up, everybody? I was up for that intro. Is that a little too intense?
Don't.
Don't? I already did it.
Just don't.
Okay. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Entitlement podcast. Coming to you live from El Paso, Texas, the greatest city on earth. So,
hi, everyone.
Yeah, I'm here joined, of course, once again by my lovely wife.
You said that weird.
Did I say that weird?
Yeah.
What did it sound like?
You said lovely wife.
Lovely wife. Sometimes I get ahead of myself. I've talked about this before. So, hey, it's a disability.
I mean,
don't make fun of me.
I understand. I mean, that's why I stutter, especially when I'm trying to tell a story.
How long ago was it since you had since you took therapy for that? Elementary school. So you were like what, like 4? Like 6, probably like 6 or 7.
Maybe.
That's crazy. Do you still remember like the exercises they used to make you do?
Well, no. I mean, I went to speech therapy. One, because I had a really hard time saying my R's and
like rolling them.
No, like saying my R. No, just I couldn't. I would say wabbit instead of rabbit.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I heard that's like a part of stutter or like a speech impediment, but I didn't know if it had to do with stuttering.
I had a really hard time saying my R's. So
that's crazy.
And I think my L's or something like that. So I had speech therapy to help me say my R's and my L's, and then I had it to help me not stutter anymore. Which, obviously doesn't work to this day because I still stutter.
Not that
especially when I'm trying to say a story. I get really excited.
Yeah.
And then my brain goes like off into like saying the rest of the story, and my mouth is just trying to catch up. And it's like, hold on, you gotta pump the brakes because I can't keep up.
It doesn't happen to you when we're doing this, though. This is good.
Well, because I try to slow down.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can't tell, like when I talk to you regularly.
Yeah.
I try to talk a lot faster, but then when I'm here, I'm like, okay, gotta slow down, gotta slow my brain down.
I mean, it's just me. You don't have to. I mean, all the joy is gone. You don't have to be excited to tell me something anymore.
Well, no, like also I'm just. I get really mad at myself.
Yeah. No, I know. You're pretty. Yeah. No one's gonna be a harsher judge than yourself, right?
Well, yeah, I just get frustrated. I'm just like, okay, stop.
No, you're fine. You're doing great. Okay,
Thanks.
I'm not gonna fire you just yet.
Okay, thanks. I still have a job. Yes.
Still have this non-paying job.
A non-paying job.
All right. So we were talking about El Paso being the greatest city on earth, and kind of just segued into that. But the reason I was gonna bring that up is because I was gonna. Oh, can you guys hear that? There's a motorcycle outside. Whoa. Okay. Anyway.
And if you can't hear that, there was a motorcycle outside.
No, but I brought up the whole. I know it was part of the intro, but we wanted to talk about a little bit of a topical news here on the EP. A local man. Well, actually, no. That was the joke that I was gonna say. It's he was from Seminole.
I don't know. You know the story more.
Seminole, Texas. I'm not gonna put the dude on blast because he's pretty much been on the news. You could just look up El Paso ambulance. That's terrible.
Theft.
That would be That would be like a terrible way to word that. El Paso ambulance stolen. So some dude went and stole a ambulance, and he rode it around. He went all the way up Trans Mountain, which you guys don't know that. That's like pretty far up there. That's like in the mountains. So he was pretty far up there. And then he went into the I think it was Bassett. He went into the shopping or the outlets, and he was just running around in this ambulance. But then I looked up the story because I was going to talk about it on the podcast. I was like, this is El Paso. This is relevant. The dude is from Seminole, Texas. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That just proves it that anyone that's not from El Paso is a deplorable person. No, I'm just kidding. No, but that was going to be the joke. I was like, speaking of El Paso, people coming in here and trying to steal our ambulances. So, see, I do this thing where I don't tell the joke. I explain why I was going to tell a joke. So I come from the back door of the joke, rendering the joke just obsolete.
And then the people who think he's funny just tell me how I can't laugh all the time.
Yeah, actually, we here to shout out our good friends at the Fire Lane Podcast, which you can catch them on. Oh, by the way, we're on Podbean now. I know I mentioned in their last podcast. We are on Podbean now, guys. You can go look at us up at the Rejig Bean Podcast on Podbean. I finally figured out how to upload. It took me like 3 days to figure it out, but it's on there. Also, you guys can see us on YouTube. But anyway, also on Podbean, not on YouTube, because they can't work a camera. They don't know how to do that. The Fire Lane Podcast. And the reason I bring them up is because it was weird, because when I happened to mention it to my friend, I was like, hey, I'm going to start a podcast. And then they said, oh, so are we. And I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. And their name was like so much better than ours. Well, because I already had Reject Bean Soup as a YouTube channel, so I was just like, I'm just going to piggyback off of that. But there was like, oh, ours is going to be called the Fire Lane Podcast. I'm like, that sounds pretty cool. So I was a little salty about that.
Yeah, and they explained it in their first episode, first podcast, why their name is Fire Lane.
But the thing is, I didn't want, like, whenever your friends have like a similar thing, it's kind of hard, at least for me. Like, I don't want them to think that I'm copying them. But then they just released an episode called Generational or something like that, where they talk about like the differences between the generation now, because they have an older son. And is that our daughter? By the way, I don't know if you guys can hear that. Our daughter's really loud on the monitor. I don't know what she's doing to the monitor, but it sounds really crazy. Sounds like an alien.
We're in the process of putting her down for bed. So
she's been going down for like the past 45 minutes.
45 minutes.
But no, they were talking about the difference between their kids and the way they are now, and I wanted to talk about something similar, and I'm just like, man, they must think that I'm just like have no original ideas, even though I'm the one. I had 2 episodes more than they did. But, this is not a competition. I'm just saying, we're going to be talking about something. If you go listen to their podcast, you might be like, is this the same thing? It is not. It is not the same thing. Because I had this thought way longer, and I've talked about this before with other people. So, there you go, Moises. And I'm calling you out by name. Kick your ass like I did when you were little. I hit him in the back of the leg with a stick. That's a true story. Anyway, and we're gonna be guests at his podcast. Hopefully, if he listens to this and he decides not to, I'm gonna be like, what happened? I don't understand why he didn't want to be the guest. No, but I did want to talk about something similar, and but more than I didn't really want to talk about like us, like specifically like how it was growing up with us, because I feel like that's material for another podcast. I really wanted to talk about kind of my theory behind why the generation today is the way it is, and we are going to dive in a little bit to the way we were raised, but just if you can see what I'm talking about. I have this theory that I feel like the generation, what are they called, millennials now? Aren't we millennials? I don't know. I'm not sure where we fall in, but
I think the millennials are kids who were born 2000 and up.
And up, okay, yeah. So we don't fall in that category.
Yeah, so we're still
I think we're Generation X or some shit like that.
Yeah, we're still 90s kids.
We're the 90s kids. But anyway. So a lot of people, people always talk about like this generation is like, all on their phones and they're whatever, they're spoiled and all that stuff. Entitled is usually the phrase that we usually use, and I would agree. Yeah, it does seem like there's a lot of like sense of entitlement out there, but at the same time, I talked about this before with other people. I feel like you can't talk about being entitled and spoiled without bringing up the fact that I think most of our parents, especially in the Hispanic community, whenever you talk to them, they always express how when they were raising their children, they wanted their children to have everything that they didn't have. And I think that's a pretty common mentality, right? Like,
I think everyone thinks that.
I would say, yeah. I would say the majority.
But...
Yeah, I would say the majority of... Well, there's shitty parents out there, any race, but like if you're a good parent, and usually you talk to somebody like that cares about their family, usually they say like, yeah, I didn't really have that growing up as a kid, and and I want to spoil my kids or whatever. I mean, I could tell you about our daughter is pretty spoiled. By my in-laws and stuff like that, and even my family. Yeah, even my family. But this,
my family tends to spoil her with gifts, and your family tends to spoil her with attention. And,
No, you're right.
Being overprotective and all that.
True.
Which isn't a bad thing. It's just sometimes it's a
different kind of spoiling, but it's the same thing. It serves the same purpose as far as spoiling, which is, we pamper your kids. But, like I said, most parents would probably agree, like, yeah, you want your kids to have things that at least that you had, like, equal, or do you want, like, you just surpass you? But if you think about that mentality, with the development of just in the past, I would say, like, 50 years, like, just, like, from 50 years ago, the things that people had to compare to what we have now, like, it's grown, like, it's just improved exponentially. So you think about that mentality, like, I want my kids to have everything that I didn't have. And then with the advances in technology and health and everything, it's kind of on us, is what I'm trying to say. It's kind of on us that this generation, and I'm not saying us, because I was raised in that similar fashion. And my mom and I remember when I was growing up, my parents tried to buy me as much as I mean, now that I'm thinking about, like, reflecting it, like, there wasn't much that I asked for that I didn't get. like realistically, like, obviously, if, there were some things that they'd be like, okay, like, you need to cut that shit out. But, like, I had a trampoline, I had several motorized vehicles, like go-karts and stuff like that. And toys, game consoles. Yeah, pretty much everything I asked for, I got it. For Christmas or for my birthday, whatever. And I didn't think much of it. It wasn't until I left and I started working for my own stuff that I was like, man, like, stuff costs money, and if you don't take care of it or you don't use it, like, that's money wasted, and you see it. You just see it piling up on a corner somewhere. Like, look at all that money I wasted, and it's not even being up to use.
I mean, we should know.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, we moved houses several times, and it seemed like there was more and more boxes piling up. It's like, obviously, we don't need that stuff, but for some reason, we have boxes and boxes full of stuff that we don't need. But I digress. Would you agree that if you kind of screw yourself over, or, like, the generation when you have that mentality, it's like, I want to make sure that my kids have everything that I didn't have, but you don't really start to think, like, well, if they have even more than what I have, then eventually they're going to start to feel like when they get to the age that we have, they're going to have so much more that they're going to feel like, what I mean? They're going to feel like that sense, like, well, I've always had this much. I had so much that why, you should just give me stuff. You know what I mean? Like, I know it's a weird of a disconnect, because I don't understand how that happens either. Like, how do you go from, like, my parents treated me so well, like, my parents gave me everything, to, like, everybody needs to give me stuff because that's how I'm used to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's like a really hard subject, because you really don't know how some of these people are being grown up. I mean, when I was smaller, we didn't have much. I grew up not having, like, single mom. Dad was sometimes there, not really there. But we struggled sometimes. Mostly we got toys from my aunts and stuff, because my aunt worked at a toy store, a toy factory. So they got discounts and stuff like that. So she would like bring us lots of toys, and she would, like, bribe us on that she was our favorite aunt because she got us all these toys. But it wasn't until my mom started getting more money, and being a little bit. I mean, she was always smart with her money. She just got a little bit smarter with her money. She got more money, so she was able to buy us a lot more things. So I don't know, like, I don't feel entitled, but I know when I was growing up, like, sometimes I was just like, oh, I want this, and I kind of took advantage of it sometimes. I wouldn't take care of it as good as I should have, and I'd sometimes lose it.
But I mean, you do understand the logic of behind, like, if you grew up with a lot, right? you kind of it's like people make that joke, you know, when like people get divorced, like people are like I've grown accustomed to a certain lifestyle, you know, it's always like a joke, but it's there's some validity to that, because if you grow up not having nothing, like, you know, if like literally nothing, like you're just dirt poor, then the things that you do have, like my dad, you know, my dad is like, we call him a cheap bastard, but at the same time he knows what it's like to like not have much and appreciate what the stuff that he does have. And so when he works hard and he saves up for something, there he has it. And so even your stepdad is like that, you know, he has a lot of stuff and he takes pretty good care of it from what I can see. And yeah, so I'm saying there,
I mean, yeah, he doesn't let you put your feet on the couch.
that's how his couches look like that, and that's how our couches look.
I mean,
like
he's had them for a long time.
Exactly.
But I mean, I still put my feet on them.
But you know what I'm saying. But you know what I'm saying. Like,
I hope you're not listening.
It would suck. Like, you know, like us. Like, think about it. Like, the thing that made us feel like this was a good place to stay. Because right now this isn't really our house. But
yeah.
But the thing that made us kind of like, okay, like now we can live here, right? It wasn't the food. It wasn't the water. It was internet.
Yeah.
You know, once we got internet, that's when we felt like, okay, now we're like...
Now we're back in civilization.
Yeah, now we're back in civilization. And we got Netflix and we got Hulu. But, like, think about that. Like, people that are from our past generation, they don't need that. Like, my dad doesn't care about internet at all.
I mean, he doesn't even know how to work his phone.
We have internet. And he's like, okay, cool. Like, did you clean the yard like I asked you? You know, he doesn't care about that stuff. He's more like, hey, you gotta pay the electricity, dude, because then you're not gonna have anything. Or did you have gas so you guys can cook? You know what I mean? So it's like,
I mean, we know that too because we've lived on our own for a while.
But like I said, there is some validity to that. Like, if you grow up with a lot, then perhaps it is easier to kind of fall into that. Well, we have friends like that. We have friends who've grown up with, like, not rich parents, but like we're like, that's pretty extravagant that you grew up around that.
Yeah.
Not saying that they're terrible people, because obviously we hang out with them, but
I mean, we don't hang out with terrible people.
we don't associate with the terrible people. We don't associate with people who steal ambulances, like from Seminole, which we didn't even know existed. No, but you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, I think about it sometimes. Like, I want Atlanta to have everything that she needs. For sure, and wants.
Well, you even talked about it, like when I was pregnant with her, you talked about, like, I want Elena to grow up thinking she's poor.
Yeah, I did say that. I still feel that way sometimes.
Like, I want her to, like, not have anything, or right. Have just the necessities, like food, the diapers,
exactly,
and that, but
and
nothing
your family just ruins that because they just give her whatever the hell that she wants. No, I mean, I didn't want to, like, it does sounds terrible. I don't want to, like, deprive our daughter of joy and stuff. But the thing is,
have her go outside and play with rocks like I did.
Well, that's the thing.
She does that though.
She does do that. When I was growing up, like, I had a lot of cool stuff. Like, I did have consoles and you know what I mean? But, like, some of the most fun times I ever had was when I would go outside, pick up a stick, and just start beating the crap.
I mean, still do that.
I broke shit. No, that was the thing. I was, like, that kid who, like broke stuff, you know? Like, hey, what's this? I'm gonna beat it with the stick and, like, break it. And then they're like, hey, I needed that. I'm like, oh, sorry, it was there, and I had my stick in my hand, you know? I'm not responsible for what happens. Ask Moises, you know, he'll tell you what happened at the back of his legs. No, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I want her to be modest, you know. I want her to be humble. That's the thing, is I want her to teach her humility.
Well, I mean, that's, like, no matter how much stuff, you could still kind of teach that, you know. Yeah,
but it's kind of hard to, like, engrave it in your brain, because if I tell you, hey, be humble, you know what I mean? Like, oh, okay. But what does that even mean? She's going to be like, okay, well, I know what humble is. I know what being humble is. But at the same time, my parents never denied me anything. My parents never told me, no, you can't have that. It's like, okay, just wait, and we'll give it to you eventually. And so, you know what I mean? Like, that's like a slippery slope.
But she can wait. I mean, like today, we went to the park, and, you know, she doesn't really hang out with a lot of kids her age, because... I'm a stay-at-home mom right now, so she doesn't really interact with kids her age. But we went to the park today, and she was playing with this little boy, It was this. Um, I don't know. Like
What was you trying to say?
I'm trying to describe what they were playing on.
A playground? Oh, a jungle gym.
No, like the actual. It's kind of like a Tarzan swing, you know. You like you hold on to it. There's like a base on the bottom, and
like
you just gotta hold on to it while it goes back and forth.
It's like a little metal rope or something.
I just call it Tarzan swing.
Okay, that's a good description.
But you know, she's never, like I said, she's never really hung out with kids her age. This kid was older than her, but you know, she never really has to share with kids, you know. But you know, here she was, you know, he let her go, so she went, you know, and he was playing on there for a while, so they let her go like 3 times.
Yeah.
And we're like, okay, well, you need to get off now because it's the little boy's turn. So then.
And she would wait.
So she went, she sat down, and she waited, you know, and that's how it was happening, where we'd be like, okay, you need to get off. Even if she wanted to play more, we're like, okay, you need to get off. It's the little boy's turn. And then he would go, and then she would laugh and thought it was hilarious, and then she would go and swing. So
our daughter has good manners.
Yeah, so you know that was like kind of like parent accomplishment. Yes,
we did it.
Check.
We did it. Like, you think they're not listening to you, and they do something like that. You're like, okay.
I mean, she's still very young.
Yeah.
But still, it was a very big accomplishment.
So I guess the thing is, you have to be able to acknowledge those like little victories like that. I mean, I'd say that's a pretty big victory. That's her character.
Yeah.
Right, and I guess just build on top of that, because it could very well go from like, I don't know. I feel like I'm saying it's a slippery slope from going to like, I know that I have to be. I know that I have to wait my turn. Let's just use that as an example. I know that I have to wait my turn, and it could really fall into like, as long as I wait long enough, I'm gonna get what I want. You know what I mean? And I know you can't help that type of stuff. Yeah. And it says being paranoid. I'm just saying, I think there is a little bit of a correlation. It's like, if you spoil your kids too long, because you see it all the time. You spoil your kids from the beginning. Even if they don't grow up to be like these like disgusting like people you see on TV, there's always like exaggerated, like you could tell he was a spoiled brat. Like, no,
that kid needs to be spanked.
Yeah, no. Sometimes it's not like that. Sometimes it's not like that. Sometimes you just grow up maybe having like an expensive taste. You know, we have a friend like that. We're not gonna say his name, but we're just gonna call him Paul.
I mean, but he also grew. He did get what he wanted.
He did. No, yeah, because he was the baby.
He was the baby. He got what he wanted. I mean, he has a shoe fetish. He has like so many shoes.
I don't think we're gonna have to tag him on this so you can listen to it.
But like, he did grow up, you know, pretty.
Yeah. He had like not want to say expensive, but he did. You know, he liked the more expensive stuff. We'll just say that, because I don't want him to. He's not like that type of person who like, oh, I gotta have Gucci everything. But
no,
when he treats himself,
he treats himself.
Yeah. So, but you know what I'm saying. But to him, that's the perfect example, because to him, if you talk to him, it's like a normal thing. Like, he's like, yeah, like that's what I like. He gets his haircut at sports clubs. That's when I know that somebody who doesn't mind like spending too much money is when you get your haircut at sports clubs. That's like almost $16 a haircut, ladies and gentlemen. That's way too much for like. I bought a pair of clippers for just a little bit more than that, and I mean, I'm not saying I do a good job on my hair, but like that's how I am. I think that's because of my dad.
Or like the $7 that you.
Yeah, you do like $7, you know.
Like every now and then.
Every now and then, yeah. If I want to get like a nice fade.
or if you don't want your mom to be like, look at your hair.
I know, my mom just tells me like, your hair looks like shit. No, but you know what I'm saying? Like, if you have sometimes you grow up like that, and like, you know, you see those people, and it's like, is it safe to assume that those people grew up a little spoiled? I think so. I mean, if somebody you see them like, yeah, I just, I like having this name brand clothes. I like having I mean, you could just have, it happens the other way around. I'm sure there's people who grew up with nothing, and now they have money and they want to, you know, flex a little bit. But it's just, I don't know. I feel like that's kind of what the situation that we have now, when you see so many you see the millennials, where they're like, I know, you have to give me respect. And that's, well, I shouldn't have said respect, because, like, we want to talk about respect. But you know what I mean? Like, you have them, they have, like, this little kind of mentality. It's like, the world owes me something, right? Because, I don't know, maybe it is because they've always gotten whatever they want. But like you said before, there's no, I mean, unless we go to all these people's houses and interview their parents, we don't know.
Yeah, we don't know. But, I mean, even some people who don't grow up with very much, like, do sometimes end up like that.
Yeah.
But I think it's just because a lot of the things that they expect is for it to be, what's the word? Not sheltered. Like, it's like kind of contained. Like you're not supposed to be that outspoken. You know, you're supposed to
like conservative.
I guess, yeah.
Right.
Like, a lot of them get a lot hurt, you know, because of what people say, and it's.
I mean, it's very sensitive. Well, I would even say as a country, and like, whoa, now we're getting into big. I would say we're a little spoiled as far as like some of the liberties. I mean, we're not. I mean, I'm not a politician, and I don't keep up with politics because, well, I guess it's the same thing. Like, you know, I'm not like a big into politics because, you know, being in the military, you kind of get sick and tired of hearing all that stuff in that little micro. Like the little micro habitat that you kind of create outside of the world. But I lost my train of thought. Anyway, sorry. What I was going to say is that I feel like as a country, yeah, we're even a little spoiled. Because, like, freedom of speech,
yeah,
dude.
are.
Like, freedom of speech, like, it's such a beautiful thing. But it's such a, I don't know, it's like playing with fire. It really is. Like, we have the ability to play with this big old thing of fire. It's like, here, you can just play with it, do whatever you want. But if you use it wrong, you can burn somebody. What a beautiful metaphor I just made up. No, but seriously, because think about it. This is the reason why we can do what we're doing right now. You know, if I sit here and I say that Trump has a shitty hair, the cops are going to come and, like, kill me or, like, put me in jail because this isn't bad about the president, right? But at the same time, if I say something about, you know, that mothers need to not coddle their children, you know, somebody could listen to this and come outside. They don't have to come inside my property, but they can go outside my fence and say, hey, you hate women, or you're sexist, or don't talk about my kids, you know. And they can talk, and they can say that because that's freedom of speech.
Yeah.
Now, Texas laws, now I say outside my fence because Texas laws technically, as far as my understanding, the people can't just jump into your property.
No,
that's
trespassers
yeah.
can be shot.
Yeah, well, I don't have a gun. Well, I have a BB gun. I'll shoot a BB gun in the knee. That'll hurt.
Yeah, like, because you can carry, but here in Texas, but if you're protecting your property and stuff like that, like,
there's certain laws around it, but
you can't trespass.
Like I said, I don't read. I don't do much research. No, but seriously, think about it. Like, somebody, if I was in the store and somebody for some reason recognized me or like recognized my voice or from my stupid YouTube videos, and they're like, "Hey, I know who you are, and I heard what you said about like parents, and I don't think that was appropriate, and you're a piece of shit," or blah, blah. And she could sit there and say that to me, and I have to be like, "Okay, that's your opinion, right?" But here's the thing: that's still, like, I would say the appropriate, I mean, that's not pleasant, but I say that's appropriate way of using the freedom of speech. But then there's this, like, really, like, crazy line where you start getting into, now, let's say I did say something about, now if she came up to me and said, you have no right, right? Like, you have no right to say what you just said, and you should take down your podcast altogether because everything that you said makes your podcast hate women. See, that's where we start to. Now that's when we start giving the problems. Like, why? Because my freedom of speech.
I mean,
hurt your freedom of speech.
We talked about this, like, how we were talking about how we wanted to raise our daughter, and we're like, okay, well, I told you I want to raise her with being able to fight for what she believes in, but also accepting other people's opinions.
True.
And because to her, she can be right. She can, that's to her. But someone else can think something else, a completely different way, and to them, they are right.
Right. Well, I mean, disagreement is a part of life.
Like agree to disagree. Like I want to teach her to do that.
Seems like there's not that much
because now it's just like my opinion's right, your opinion means crap.
Well, it's because people want to do this thing where they get their feelings hurt, and I get it. Like, if you're passionate about something,
you're gonna get your feelings hurt.
You're gonna get butthurt, but like the same. Sorry, I shouldn't say butthurt. I don't want to hurt. See what I mean? Like now you gotta watch what you say. But that's the thing is that everybody, like, I get it. You get your feelings hurt, but it doesn't mean that because your feelings are hurt, you have to ignore all the same privileges that I have.
Yeah.
And that's the fact that I can say, within reason, whatever the hell I want to say, right? Like one thing is if I'm attacking somebody, but if I'm just stating an opinion. Which is the thing, is that most of the things that come out of my mouth, especially they come out like in like something that's subjective, like art, right? Art or anything like that. I still understand how people get in these like heated arguments, and like it's not about like we can't just have a debate anymore. Like it's about like I'm gonna prove you wrong, and if
I mean I get really heated on debates, but.
Yeah, but you understand that it's my opinion.
No, yeah, I completely understand. People have their own opinions. And yeah, sometimes when I'm in a heated argument, I do feel like I'm right, but I also know that they think that they're right. I mean, there was this one time in speech class, and I've told you about it.
Yeah.
We were having a debate, and the teacher said, one of the things that you shouldn't never debate about is religion, and also politics and sexuality.
Yeah.
And then someone mentioned something about being gay.
Mm-hmm.
And I got heated. Like someone was saying that gay people, like if they want to be gay, that's fine, but they have to do it at their inside their house and all this other stuff, which was getting me a little bit heated. And they started saying that like women, it's fine, like they have no problem seeing women, and it was a guy who was saying this, and I was like, okay, whatever, but he doesn't want to see men kissing holding hands or being intimate,
right,
which I was like, okay, well that's not up to you. But then he started saying that like they can be gay, gay people aren't as strong as like a regular man. Like it's like they're not really
like physically.
No, they're not men. Like they're like not manly men. It doesn't make them a man to like another man.
Like a subspecies of man.
Yeah, I guess. And I got red. I'm getting red right now.
I see you're like getting upset a little bit.
But it's because like it. I don't know. To me, it was just like they were being so ignorant, and then I just like I went in. I was like, a gay man could be stronger than you. It could be faster than you. He can do all this smarter than you. He could do all this other stuff. What makes him less of a man? Just because he likes to be with other men? I was like, no, and the teacher stopped the argument there. But I got furious only because he was insulting, gay men. And I was just like saying that they weren't men. And to him, he might think of them differently, which I understand. But I got like really mad. And I was just like, I was trying to make him understand, like, you don't understand. I was like, just because they are gay doesn't make them any different than you. The only thing that is different is that their sexual preference. They just prefer to be with men. And I got like really pissed.
So you're trying to do the equality, like equal but different type thing?
Yeah, I mean, I believe that people should love who they love. And like, Do you find it harder to have this type of conversation with a complete stranger than like somebody that you know, like a relative, or like me? You know what I mean? I think it's different when it's like somebody that you know,
Like when it's a complete stranger. That's the thing is that when it's a complete stranger, I think you should leave some emotions like completely out of it. That's my like it's hard when you get mad.
I like I just believe in people's rights and stuff like that, and like I don't believe people should think differently about other people because.
But then that's kind of the same thing because you're saying like everybody should think.
I know. I know. That's why it's hard for me to say people shouldn't do that. But it's just because I was putting my opinion out there saying that, hey, just because they're like this.
Right.
Like I was trying to make him think too. Just because they're like this doesn't mean, they're any different.
Yeah, I get you. Well, now, and that's, I'm not like picking on you or anything. But like my observation from like just that little, discussion that you had, I wasn't there. I'm just going off of what you're saying. And like, there's a lot of like, it seems like there's always like, they should, you should, they can't, you can't, you know what I mean? And like those types of arguments. And I think that's where, like I said, I always say, I believe, my opinion, is that's where most of the problems comes over, right? Because somebody comes, you can't say that to me. Or you can't say, you shouldn't think that, or you can't think that.
Yeah, well, I wasn't telling him that he couldn't think that way. Right. I was just trying to tell him my opinion that, like, hey, you might think that way, but the thing is, they can be stronger than you. They can be every bit alike as you.
Yeah.
The only thing that's different between you and that and a gay guy would be that he likes men.
I mean, nobody wants to be. I mean, yeah, that is kind of messed up. I think just from the aspects, like, nobody wants to be defined by, like, one thing. Because we're complex, I would say, as human beings. We have this damn free will, which I've always cursed. Because, my anxiety kicks in all the time. And I hate... Like, don't you hate that you have to take responsibility for what you freaking think? Some people don't want to do that. Or maybe some people ignore that fact. But that's the thing that always gets us in trouble. Is the fact that... everything that we decide to do or think or say, I would say the majority of us, right? I'm sure that people out there who can't control that, but for the majority of us, we have to take responsibility for what we think and what we say. Mm-hmm. And when you start to think about that, that's when you realize like how equal we all are, but at the same time, how hard and difficult, almost impossible it is to get along when we're talking about these. Maybe that is maybe there is. That's a trend, and we kind of recognize that. Maybe that's why people say that, like, well, we can't talk about nothing. It's like, no, maybe it's because we know how human beings are, and we know that if we bring something up like this or something like this up, I don't know how to say that sentence. If you bring something up that's controversial, you're gonna have someone upset for one reason or the other, either because that person is too sensitive, or because that person is passionate, or because maybe somebody had something shitty happen.
Yeah. Something
crappy happened to that person. You don't know. You walking out. We were talking about. I was talking to this mom about driving, because she was. I was driving with her, and like she was like cursing at everybody. Like she's
road rage.
Yeah, she has road rage. But here's the thing: there's been like a study that said that actually the majority of people, you ask them, and they say that they believe that they're better drivers than everybody else. And when you have that mentality, you think about it. If everybody out on the road thinks that they're not the problem, then no one's gonna own up to it.
I mean, we were just literally watching a video yesterday about road rage. And
pretty funny, but some of it was like crazy. People busting guns out and shit.
I mean, there are some people who would move into the other lane without putting their blinker on, or almost hit somebody because either they weren't paying attention, or they just thought they had the right of way. Who knows what they were thinking? But then they stop and they start arguing with the person in back of them, and the person gets hit, and like it's just crazy because you could clearly see on the camera that hey, it's your fault, but that person probably thought, I'm not the problem. I'm driving great.
Yeah, exactly.
Who cares if I didn't put my signal on?
That jackass didn't move over, so I made him move.
Drives me bananas. It drives me bonkers when people don't put their signal on.
That's the thing, is that it's all about perspective, and you gotta have that empathy sometimes. And that's the hardest thing to do, is to put yourself in other people's shoes. And that's what I was telling you about that guy. That's a good, perfect example. His name is Ahmad Best, and he was actually the voice, he was the voice because Jar Jar Binks wasn't a real. Anyway, he played Jar Jar Binks in the Phantom Menace, which, if you guys don't remember, Jar Jar Binks is that annoying like mono that's like Misa something whatever, and everybody hated that guy. Like, well, everybody hated that movie from what I remember, and everybody hated him or that character. And he was talking about how he he was trying to make it in the show business. He was this is his perspective. He was so excited because they finally gave him a break. I mean, George Lucas is asking him to be in a Star Wars movie, and him coming off straight from Broadway. He was in Stomp.
Ooh.
You ever heard of Stomp?
Yes.
Yeah. You guys look up Stomp. It was basically like they used to like play instruments with like a bunch of stuff laying around, like trash cans and brooms and stuff like that.
Brooms,
it was pretty cool.
Cans.
I never got to see it. I mean, obviously, we're probably never going to.
Yeah.
Never go to New York, that piece of shit place. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. But using Stomp, and he was like trying to break out as a career as an actor, and now he gets this opportunity to play a CGI character, which hadn't really been done before, and like it was pretty revolutionary. Like I guess the same engine that they use is the same engine they use for all CGI characters now, or something like that. Anyway, so he was excited. He's thinking like, "Damn, I'm gonna be in the Star Wars movie." And then it came out, and then everybody hated that movie. Everybody hated that character, and they just kept talking shit about it. And he felt like he had messed up, even though he wasn't physically in the movie. He felt like, hey, like I put myself into that character, and everybody keeps talking shit about me. And some people were saying like other people say, don't be so sensitive. Like it's not about you. It's about the character. We just hate the character. We don't hate you. But he had invested so much work that he felt like shit, like he felt like, man, like I just failed completely. And he said he almost killed himself. He said like he got on top of the bridge. He like explained how he was on the edge of the bridge, and like a gust of wind like pushed him off, and like he just happened to hold on, and that's when he was like, okay, maybe I don't want to kill myself that bad. But the fact of the matter is that performance or that incident brought him over to the edge, like almost to end his life. And I always think like I put myself in, and I try to step back, is like the people that were out there talking crap about him, or excuse me, Jar Jar Binks, which is a stupid character. I mean, you look at it, he looks like a dumb. It's a stupid looking mono. Affected this man's life, And if you look there from the outside, it's like that dude almost killed himself off. What a pussy. That's what some people will say. What a pussy. He can't handle it. And the people that because on the outside, people were just giving their opinions about a character. Like, this is a stupid movie with a stupid character. I don't like it, right? And in their minds are thinking, I'm not saying anything wrong about this person. I don't care. I don't care about who Ahmad Best is. If you look up his name, they probably wouldn't know, unless it said right there he played Jar Jar Binks. You wouldn't know who he is on the street. But you always got to think about how it affects other people. And that's what and that's like one thing that I always want to live by, is that I always want to treat people the way I would like to be treated. And like I think if more people did that, like that's just simple thing. That's like something we learn in like grade school. You treat other people the way you want to. That's respect. Mm. And if you think about that just for a second, that just lets you pop into your mind. Then maybe you don't cut off that person in the street. Maybe you don't talk crap about an actor you don't know, or maybe you try to teach your kids to wait in line. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just... Respect is a big thing for me, and I definitely want that to be a big thing for my kids, so... Yeah. I don't know.
I was just... like, people could be mean.
No, they can.
They can be really mean. And... I don't know why people can be mean, but... I mean, child stars now...
Because they were spoiled. No,
like, like, child stars now... they've got into drugs and all that stuff. Because they had the opportunity to, but also because they were trying to cope with all the mean things people would say. Yeah. No, you're right. Like, I think Hillary Duff became anorexic because everyone kept putting fan mail out there saying, well, not fan mail because they're not fans, but like kept saying that she was too fat, and Lizzie McGuire, and she became anorexic.
I mean, she did kind of look like a cow. No, I'm just joking. No, but yeah, you're right.
And it's like, I don't know, people want to have these, I don't know, expect people to be a certain way, have a certain body, have a certain personality, and people just tear you down, and it's horrible.
That's why it's hard, man. It's
like words come a long way, and I think that's one thing you should teach your kids is like, you know,
the power of words.
Don't. You know, my grandma, may she rest in peace, would always tell me, you know, growing up, because my sister was bullied. I wasn't really bullied that much. Like sometimes there were some instances where, you know, I was bullied, but she would always say, you know, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words can never hurt me. But like
words hurt just as much.
That's a lie, because the words hurt.
Yeah.
And you know, both my cousins are like have been bullied. One not out of high school, and one's still in elementary. And she gets bullied. She's, you know, we're in a community like where we live. El Paso is majority Hispanics. You know, so you don't get a lot of blonde-haired, blue-eyed people here.
Yeah.
And that's what my cousin is. She has blonde hair, she has blue eyes, and she's very white. She's very güerita. And she gets bullied for that. People tell her she's ugly, you know. I mean, well, she gets bullied a lot. You know. She gets her money stolen too. Like
what?
Like kids like ask for her money. Yeah, ask her to give her money. There was a kid that threatened for her to give him her money. If not, he was going to go to her house and kill her family.
Oh my God!
And she was scared.
A psychopath.
Yeah, and she was scared to tell my aunts and whatever. And I was just like, I'm a very passionate person. I was like, you should have told us. I was like, I would have gone down there.
I mean,
I would have done something, you know.
I would have killed that kid's family.
Shut up! No, like I would have reported him. You know, like you need to speak up. You need to tell You need to tell us when that happens. But apparently, he was doing that to another girl, and she told, and something happened.
Yeah,
I don't know, but you know, it's just like part of it was like you have to teach your kids to, like, if they feel endangered or whatever, or like, you know, you have to teach them like, hey, you know, talk to me. I can't do anything if you don't tell me. But then you also have to teach your kids like, hey, you can't be telling that to other kids. You know, you can't be threatening them. You can't be saying mean things to them, because, you know, that just, I don't know. I guess that also goes with like coddling your kids too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. It's a slippery slope, because like you don't know how those parents raised that kid. You know, for all we know, he had everything, the same thing that, you know. I'm not trying to compare it to our daughter, but at the same time, like, he had loving parents, you know, that were involved in his life, and for some reason he just grew up to be that. You know, we don't know. Who taught him that? Who taught him that? Where did he learn that? We don't know.
You know, I kind of get, you know, because, you know, we were kids once. You know, you've been bullied.
Yeah.
You know, and I've been bullied, and I've also been the person who bullied. Not, you know, but kind of, because there was this girl in elementary school where, you know, the kids were always so mean to her. And, you know, it was like early elementary too. It was like, I want to say maybe like 3rd grade or something like that. And they were always so mean to her. Like, she would come and want to play, and we'd be like, no, you know, you can't play, and we'd run away from her and stuff like that.
Why did you do that though? Do you remember why?
I did it because, you know, I was following my friends.
Yeah.
You know, but, you know, when I went to like 4th and 5th grade, like, I was just, I had her for class. You know, we started talking, and then when people, you know, they still wanted to be mean to her, and I was just like, why are you being mean to her? Like, she's a cool person.
Yeah.
Like, I stood up for her. I was like, why are you being mean to her? And then they started bullying me. You know? But, you know, like, well, no. Like, they still bullied her while I was around. And I'd be like, you know, hey, you know, stop. I think there was one time when we were sitting down and we were playing that we were pretending to be in a picnic or something like that. Mm-hmm. And one of the girls came and was like, look, it's a tumbleweed, let's kick her. And they're referring to her.
Oh my god.
You know? And I was like, what are you guys doing? Leave her alone. And then they started making fun of me, like saying, oh, well, you love her or something like that. And I was like, she's my friend.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, there's no reason you should be mean to her. But, you know, after that, you know, we became divided because they were my friends too. But after that, after I defended her,
you don't need friends like that.
But yeah, and I was so mad. Like I was like, why are you gonna be mean? It was very frustrating because I was like, that's hurtful. Because she was chunkier,
mm-hmm.
you know, and I think that's why they made fun of her because she was
bigger.
She was bigger than most of the girls in elementary school.
Yeah,
and it was very
Kids
sad.
can be dicks, man.
It was very sad how they were very mean to her. But I mean, I came to my senses and I stood up for her, and we became really good friends.
And you made a difference. You probably made a difference in that girl's life. I'm hoping.
I mean, I still have her on Facebook, and you know, and I think we talked about it once, but like I was her friend.
Mm-hmm.
Because we went to elementary school together. We didn't go to middle school together because her mom put her in a all-girls school, a Catholic school.
Yeah.
But like we stayed in touch a little bit. Like I would sometimes go to her house and stuff like that. But you know, after a while, we kind of drifted apart because she was in a different school. I was in a different school.
It's kind of hard to keep in touch.
You know, but we still have each other on Facebook, and you know, she's.
Sorry.
She's doing great right now. I mean,
That's good.
She finished college. She has a job at a hospital. So
yeah. You know, and like you said before, I think you had said that after you know you guys broke up with the other friends, you know, you later went and you killed all their families. No, I'm just kidding. No, but think about that. Think of that for blah blah, because that's another thing that I'm a little bit more sure of, because I'm not really sure about this whole millennial thing. I don't know if you can really, truly predict how the generation's going to turn out. But a little things like that, you know, the world finds a way to balance itself out. Because those girls that were bullying that girl, right? That girl, that's probably all she knew, was she was like these girls hate me for some reason. Yeah. Maybe she was going home and thinking like, man, these people, I don't know what I'm doing wrong, right? And out of that, you made the difference. You were the change, and you said like, "Hey, I'm gonna make a difference, and I'm gonna stop this."
I mean, I was never really mean to her. Like I just like.
But you didn't stop it.
Like when we because we bring our suitcases with our Barbie dolls, and she wanted to play with Barbie dolls with us, and you know they'd be like, "No, go away," and they'd like say mean things to her. I don't really remember because this was in elementary school. But you know, they'd pack up our stuff and they'd try to run away,
mm-hmm.
you know. And I kind of like look at her and be like, I'm sorry, you know, like you know.
Yeah.
But you know, I never said anything mean to her. I know that for a fact.
But you didn't stop it until later.
I didn't stop it till I actually got to know her, and you know, we were, I think, partnered up in like math class or something like that, and. We started talking, and I got to know her, and I was like, hey, you know, this is a cool girl. Like, I don't know why people aren't being nice to her. And then, you know, I started sticking up for her. And then in return, you know, they try to bully me, and I'd be like...
Well, I think is you realized like that confusion as a kid, like that was your things. Like, I wouldn't want to be treated like that. Maybe you kind of grasped that early on, and that's good that you did that.
Yeah, I mean... You know, they try to tease me, but I was like, I don't care if you tease me. Like, I'm friends with her and I'm friends with you guys. You know, if you guys want to stop being friends with me, then fine. Yeah. You know, but I was like, I'm friends with her too. You know, I did have more friends, you know, than she did. Yeah. You know, but
you could afford to lose some.
I mean, they were just really mean to her. I mean, you know one of them. Yeah. We went to high school with her. Yeah. And, you know, and I'm cool with her now. You know, it's just, you know, as a little girl, she was a little bit mean to this other girl. We used to walk, because we somewhat lived somewhat close to each other. So we used to walk to where my street was, and then
Mm-hmm.
I'd drift off and she'd walk. But we used to like sit and sing Avril Lavigne songs
God,
and Britney songs and stuff like that. But
you were young.
but I mean, we just drifted apart. Like after that, we drifted apart, and then I didn't see her again until high school.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
And this is like the bully that I'm talking about.
That's the bullies. And she didn't really kill the family. I was just being stupid.
Like even like because there's two girls. I didn't get to see them until high school,
Mm-hmm.
and we didn't really talk about it. We're just like, oh hey, I remember you from elementary school, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're pretty
Me.
ruthless
Yeah.
as children.
I heard that girls are a little bit more like bad than guys. Because guys, I feel like boys are just like we tease each other and we're mean, but it's more like
Girls try to do like psychological damage. Like sometimes yeah girls fight, but they try to do more psychological damage.
mm-hmm.
Where you know they'll call you fat, or they'll be like, oh, like look at her face, or you know they'll just call her out.
I don't know if that's like I don't know if that's like a kid thing though, because like
girls don't grow out of it.
we found yeah, as that's where like guys drift apart, like guys get more physical maybe. No, but like it's really when you're that age, it's really just about finding that weak spot, right, and then kind of exploiting it.
Yeah.
And you find like the thing that bothers somebody, you know, like I remember when I was growing up, people used to make fun of people, like girls and boys alike. They used to make fun of people for being poor. Like that was like a funny thing. Like it's kind of messed up. You think like you're poor, like you're so poor. It'd be like like really stupid jokes. You're so poor that you use ice cubes for AC or something. Like you know what I mean? Like it's like really stupid, and you're like that doesn't even make any sense. Like now as a grown up, but I think that's what it's about. It's just like exploiting that weak spot. But now when you're an adult,
I mean, when I found out I had dyslexia, I didn't want anybody to know because I didn't want anybody to make fun of me for having dyslexia.
I would keep the shit to myself as well. I'd be like, damn, they're gonna be making fun of me. I'm hanging out with this girl.
I mean, I always tried to avoid reading out loud. I mean, I still try to avoid it because, I mean, my dyslexia doesn't kick in until I'm like put under pressure, and I'm just like, oh, okay.
Do you still get nervous sometimes? You gotta read it loud.
Yes,
yeah?
I get very nervous.
Damn, so like it affected you since you were like a little kid, huh?
Yeah, I get very nervous reading out loud, even to this day.
But did everyone ever make fun of you for that? Like for reading weird or no?
Not to my face.
Not to your face.
Or
hey, isn't that weird? Like, isn't that crazy that maybe I'm not like a psychiatrist, but isn't that crazy that you maybe
I put it in my head.
Yeah, you put it in yourself, and you dragged that from little to now. Like you can still now. That's weird. That's so crazy.
Like a part of me was just like, I don't want people to know there's something wrong with me.
So, dude,
because dyslexia, like to me, was just like, oh my god, like I have a disability. Like I have a disability. I have a learning disability. People are gonna think I'm stupid.
Like it's over.
Which you know you're not if you have dyslexia. It's just a little bit more of a challenge.
No, you're right. I think it's crazy. Man, that just like puts a wrench in most of the stuff. There's no way to know, guys. There's no way to know. Like literally, there's absolutely no way that you're gonna know what your kid. Or,
I mean, because no matter if you say that, you know, like, hey, you know, people talk shit about me. It doesn't matter. Like, I don't care. I don't care what people think. You know, there's a part of you that does care what people think.
Because absolutely.
I've grown up like
everybody
that. Like,
has that.
I don't care what people think of me. Like, they could say whatever they want, but like, there's still that part of me just like. Like it kills me when they talk shit about me, which didn't really happen, but you know, like I'd put it in my head. No, you care. I mean, you have to care to a certain extent.
You have to care one way or the other because, like if you're talking about like if you don't care what people say towards your person, towards your character, that's different. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, like you do care. Everybody cares about what somebody has to say, right?
Yeah.
Because if somebody says something that you disagree with, then you care what they're saying. If somebody talks about something that hurts your feelings, then you care about what they're saying. So yeah, 100%, everybody cares about what people are saying.
Yeah.
Holy shit, we've been talking for almost an hour. I don't know if we're gonna cut it here. We don't
Want to drag this on?
Well, no. Also, I said we don't do these podcasts to like reach a conclusion or anything like that. We just kind of talk about our opinions because these are really open-ended issues. Like we're not here trying to solve the world's issue on freedom of speech.
You can't really solve it. I mean, it's an opinion for everybody. You know,
Here's the thing.
You guys all have your opinions. You know, we have ours. We're just putting ours out there.
We're all heading towards oblivion. No, but we really are. No, think about it. We're all going.
Everyone's gonna die.
Everyone's gonna die. That's the greatest equalizer, right? I mean, we're all going on different paths. Maybe we'll pass or intersect here and there. But all we're gonna do when we get to that door, we're gonna say like, "Hey, how was your trip?" You know, and how was mine? And we can sit there and we can bore ourselves to death with each other's stories. But the same thing, we're gonna live our lives the best we can, and we're gonna treat people the best we can, and people are gonna treat the people the way they want, and they're gonna live the way they want, and we're gonna see who wins. You know, may the best man win, and women or whoever you identify as.
Always try to be the best you can be.
That's I tell before we stopped going to church. Our pastor actually said something that really always sticks with me, and I believe it with all my heart.
Our he said it's hard to find a church there.
Yeah, I know. He said, "Do it on purpose." That's what he said. That's what he always said. Whenever it came to anything, if they talked about like it doesn't have to be a spiritual thing. If you're talking about like being like a better. You know, better at your job, better at your being with your family. Just do it on purpose. Everything that you do it on purpose and do it intentionally. And that way, if it does blow up or whatever, at least you know that you just went in for it, and you don't have to blame anybody else. Because everybody wants to blame somebody else. But when you can kind of reflect and say like, well, you know, that was me and I did the best I could, then at least to have that comfort, you don't have to. Who do I blame now, you know?
Do it on purpose. Yeah,
do it on purpose, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to leave you with that. Do it on purpose. We're better than Fire Lane Podcast.
Live your life by quotes.
Yeah.
Do it on purpose. Always be the best you can be.
This is your lesson for a day. Always live your life according to Instagram quotes that are misquoted. You know, Abraham Lincoln did not say today is going to be lit, just so y'all know. Oh, he might have said that. I don't know. Maybe he said that right before he went to the Ford Theater and got shot in the head. Oh, is that too soon?
Babe.
Wow. We're going to end with that now. Do it on purpose, guys, even if it means assassinating a president.
Shut up.
All right.
Don't say that. No. Don't
assassinate anybody. I was going to say, don't assassinate any presidents.
Don't assassinate anybody.
Unless you're a really good shot. Then
Babe,
you have to...
Stop. Just
you guys
stop.
Have a great...
Just live your life on purpose. Do it on purpose.
Yeah. You guys have yourself a great weekend. I don't know when this is going to go up.
Don't listen to his advice,
It might
please.
go up on MLK Day. So happy Martin Luther King Day. And if you guys have the day off, thank you for listening to our podcast on your day off. And what are you doing? Do you have better things to do? No, I'm just kidding. Thank you guys so much for listening. Remember, we are now on Podbean, which is free on Google Play and what is it called? Apple Store. I always forget what the App Store is called. And you can always look me up on YouTube. The Rejig Bean Soup and the Rejig Bean Podcast is on Podbean. Tell them goodbye, baby.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. We'll catch you guys next time.